So are you confronting reality or negotiating with it?
Ooh.
I'm fighting back.
With two hands.
I'm fighting back because it's like the reality we think we know everything that's been going on the news and all that. I'm not gonna go into the politics, but
we don't need to go there.
We could
This would be a very
what
long
we think
episode.
we know as reality is far from it, clearly. And back to social media, I just want to appreciate social media for being able to like show us some of these things that are happening in different parts of the world and even the world we live in, but like on the underneath, the stuff that we don't see. So all that is very important. So I'm definitely confronting reality. I'm definitely doing things in like a non-traditional way because I've seen that gives me the best results. Like traditionally, you could have like, you could be street smart if that's where you're traditionally from or culturally from. But it's up to you as a growing individual in society to be like, hey, let me see what's on the other side of this. I know we're being directed to do this, but you know, ask those questions. Why? Always ask why. Like the richest, wealthiest, smartest, most free. And when I'm talking about rich, I'm talking about I want to go do this today. I want to be in this place today. They control your time. That's what I term as rich, not only financial. The people that live that type of life, they are very, very intentional about
Their time.
And their energy and, you know, everybody around them. So that's a common trait that I've noticed.
I agree. I love that perspective.
Yeah.
I do want to touch on confronting reality. What you were saying. Wouldn't you say that confronting reality would be the exact recipe of being honest with yourself?
I wouldn't.
You don't think so?
No.
You don't think if you're not confronting the reality of things that wouldn't be the start or anchor to actually being honest with who you are?
I feel like that would be a step, but I don't think that would be the start.
So what would you define as the start?
The start would be seeing yourself how God sees you.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
So what would be the first step to getting there?
If God says I'm his child, what are some things or what are some traits or what are some fruits that a child of God is supposed to have? I feel like that should be the background, because if you know like what your Father in heaven wants you to portray yourself as, if you know who he is, then you can show up better in any way. You can now focus on your reality and now be like, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be. When I was born into this world, before I understood what sin is, before I understood what trauma is, these were the settings that God instilled in me. Now, based off of my experiences, this is where I'm at now.
Right.
So I feel like before you confront your reality, what are you comparing it to? So that's that deep inner child work that we talk about.
So are you being honest about your limits or pretending that you can handle more?
I personally think I can handle more than I usually can sometimes.
Are you pretending?
I think I'm Superman.
So what limits have you overcome over this year, or just some things that you've...
Getting overstimulated.
You know, that is a common theme. I think ever since we learned that word in society,
it's like a word we just throw around.
I'm overstimulated.
Yeah, because it's something like everybody was ignoring before, but everybody does have a limit of how much external energy that they can manage at the time.
Yeah, that is true.
Right.
I find, you know what else I find? Overstimulation actually can also be self-inflicted.
Yeah.
Like I could be on my phone watching TV, reading a book, and doing work at the same time. And I'm overstimulated. I'm like,
because you multitasking.
I'm multitasking, but really we're overstimulated. So do you feel like that you can handle more? Is that pretend that you can handle more? Can you actually handle more? Like, are you being honest about that, or are you just forcing that kind of perspective? Are you forcing yourself to believe I can do more?
I am.
Yeah.
So how do you go about that?
How I go about forcing myself to handle more is like I try to operate from a position of excellence. Like every time I do something, it's like, how can I do this to the best of my ability?
Right.
Now I put my ability aside. Now I'm like, okay, if there's anybody that can do this better than me, how can I,
Match that.
Utilize it.
yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Or
How
take
can I
from
add
it.
them to the
Yeah.
team, or get to that better level?
Yeah.
Because like sometimes we think we know everything, and it might not be the way you're asking me the question, but at the end of the day I say like, okay, this is my own limit. Like, I went to school, I'm a computer science major, but now somebody's talking to me about marketing. I don't know anything about that,
Right.
but I have a product to sell. So I know I don't know anything about it. Now, do I now try to keep going to read more books over and over? But whole time I have a friend that was a marketing major for 3-4 years.
Time to go to
Yeah.
that friend.
You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like that. Those are ways I kind of like push myself to new limits, new comfort zones. Because when we talk about pushing ourselves, we also affect the people around us.
Right.
Because for you to step off of the floor and jump, you're going to put impact on the ground. So like the people around you that are the ground, they're going to feel a little shake because you're jumping.
Right.
So
I never
pushing your
thought that
limit
way.
also involves looking around you and seeing who's affected and who's not.
Well, can you grow if you're not being fully honest with yourself?
No.
Okay, I do agree with what you said, though. I don't think we can grow if we don't be honest with ourselves. It keeps you stuck.
Yeah.
It keeps you stuck in this mindset that you keep running over and over again. But the minute that you say, I'm going to choose to be honest, I do have a problem.
I do need some help.
I do
Right.
need some help. I do feel like I could be the issue. That is a catalyst to me for change. Because right then and there, you give yourself a choice. Do I continue doing this? Or do I make a different choice? And the more times that you make a different choice, then eventually you find you're no longer doing the same thing. And now you've recalibrated what you've actually been doing to something new. But without that honesty, without being able to reflect and say, oh, I do have a problem, I do have an issue, you will never change, in my opinion, in regards to that issue.
I feel like people also tend to be too honest with yourselves and end up beating themselves down into depression.
I am the one that is uber honest. I'm talking about, I will tell myself real quick, girl, you did that terribly. You are bad. You needs to be better. But I feel like I do that and it actually empowers me because I know more about what I need to work on than anybody can tell me. I know where I can actually, not saying that others, in perspective wouldn't help me because I'm always open to perspective. But it's just saying the brutal honesty with myself have caused me to have radical change. Radical. Because it's like, is that what you want? Is that what you want? What you just saw about yourself, is that who you want to be? And if the answer is no, now I got to figure something else out. So I get where you're saying about where it could put people in depression, but I feel like depression is derived from many things. It could be maybe you do realize this thing about yourself, but you don't really know how to go about it. Or maybe you realize this thing, this change that needs to occur, but you don't feel like you have the support system for it. To me, that's where a lot of people will fall into depression. But when you feel like either you have that support system, have that understanding, and have that control, it's easier to be like, I'm going to beat up on myself all day until I get this right. I'm going to tell myself, nope, that is not how we do it. That's not the right way to go about it.
Speaking from a privileged seat.
Do you think?
Yeah.
In what way? Elaborate.
There's people that have the friends to be like, okay, I'm okay. That little checkup that we need sometimes, that friend around the corner that's like, hey, I haven't seen you in a while, or like, I know you think you did bad, but you didn't do that bad. We all need that person in our life, and that's a luxury. So that's why I said we're talking from a seat of luxury. What about, and luxury is not the majority of people. When you're talking about people, we're talking about everybody. Not everybody is in a luxurious seat.
Yeah.
So now when we have these type of topics, what category of people are we really talking about? The people that have the facilities to actually be like, okay, I know what a good man is supposed to be like, so let me go be like that man around them. Or let me be a good woman because I've seen a good woman around me, so let me be like that woman. Or people that's like, okay, they only see these people on TV, and now they know that all they're aspiring to be is just their superhero that they see on TV. How do you tell those type of people that they're not being true to themselves, even if they've accepted that this is where I am, but they don't have the facilities or the resources or the knowledge to get out of that? Are they not being true to themselves?
What happens if they accepted the truth?
Because that's all they know. That's all they're exposed to. That's their environment.
Right.
I think there's a certain part of life as adults, though, where we do have to carry the mantle of where our direction in life goes, where we have to say, okay, this is what I learned and this is what I believe. But as we experience new things in life, and we experience new people on a daily, we experience new situations, then comes your own form of knowledge that you can pull from. Right. So you could say, I might have had this vision of myself at this point about whatever the case is, but because I went through this, then does that still hold power for me? And I guess to your point of saying, I don't believe it's privileged to be able to have discernment or understanding and truth of yourself. Now, I don't disagree. Having the friends around and the community around to be able to, say, hey, to bounce back or support you in any kind of way is definitely privilege. I won't disagree with that. But then do we not create that privilege ourselves? Do we not say, well, I'm not really getting the results that I see or want out of life, and then do an audit of the people that you have around you? As an adult, it is your responsibility to determine, are these people around me healthy for me? Are they adding to my life, adding value, or are they taking value away? Are they helping me to remain in the same spot I've always been in? And I think that's the question people don't ask themselves. Are my friends making me complacent? Am I being complacent? Because these people, if you're a guy and you have friends who are, let's say you're a man that desire marriage, or as yourself, you are a man of marriage, a married man. And this is a topic I actually wanted to touch on in my own personal space. Why would you hang around a bunch of men that are whores? Why would you have men around you who doesn't value marriage? Why would you have men around you that doesn't know what it means to be accountable for your family and your wife, right? And then you want to hold on and maintain those relationships, but then 10 years later, you're wondering why you don't have that privilege of a community that can pour into you. Because you didn't create it. When your life circumstance changed, you didn't change the people around you to make sure that they match the new person you're becoming.
That can also go for women too. Cause,
oh, totally.
A lot of women, they'll stay with their go hang out with the single friends and stuff like that, even though they have a man or they have a husband.
I don't think hanging around single people is a problem.
Go out, it's a problem.
Yeah.
Say it again.
I said, and when he doesn't let them go out to do it with her friends, it's a problem.
Right.
I don't believe having single friends is an issue. I think having aligned friends is an issue. I can have a single friend who she's practicing abstinence. She is going to church. She is improving on her knowledge, her intellect. She loves to go out and have dinner from time to time again and enjoy themselves. So I could have, even the same with the man. You could have a man who is single, but he is working on himself. He owns his own business. He's figuring out his creative side of who he is. He's working on himself, going to therapy. You can have single friends, but you need to audit the inside of that person. You know your friends better than anybody else. I know if I have a friend and she cheats on her husband every other day, that's not a friend you want to keep company with if you want an actual real relationship in your own world. And then being a partner of someone, you also have to make sure that you trust that partner to find good people to be around you. But you also have to be honest if you don't believe that that partner has found good people. Like, tell them, like, hey, I don't believe this person is good for you because of this. Now, if they see differently, then that's a discussion to be had. But, I mean, ultimately, it's not about whether a person is married or single. It's whether or not, are they the people that I am aspiring to be? Are they already trying to be good people? Do they have good intentions? Are they pure at heart? Are they loyal? Are they faithful to the people around them? Then that's a real audit, right? That's a real understanding. And then if they're not, a person who's being honest with themselves and truly want what they say they want, which we go back to honesty, will remove those people. And you can remove people in a lovingly way, but you would need to remove those people in order for you to continue to go to higher lengths in life. Well, now let's get into my favorite part, which is real reactions, where we read a comment or a statement and we get your real reaction to it, right? Mm-hmm. And so today's comment was made by jdine.n on Threads. And she said, I like a man who communicates, like really communicates. The kind who doesn't pretend he's okay, but lets me in, explains what he feels, and trusts me with his honesty.
So related to that, to the question that we asked earlier, why men don't express themselves, is because that our feelings do get weaponized. So sometimes that's why we don't talk, or sometimes that's why we have to come, like, before we leave work, we have to either decompress and then come with a new energy. I think that's
What's your reaction to that comment?
I'll tell you guys what I learned recently, man. There's a difference between transparency and vulnerability. Your girl asks for vulnerability, but what she's really asking for is transparency.
Okay.
She don't need to see you crying on her shoulder, because your shoulder is the one she needs to be crying on. If both of you is crying in the house, who gonna be telling who's sorry? You could cry to your therapist. Doesn't mean you shouldn't cry to no one or you shouldn't cry at all. But it's like, when you're meant to be the rock, be the rock.
right.
If things are going bad, it's up to you to be telling her, babe,
I got this as a.
I'm shook up right now. Everything is gonna be okay. Then you could go back to your boys and be like, man, I almost should have. You know, you were honest. You know, you're like, babe, I can't handle this right now. That's transparency. But for you to, you know, break down and, you know, just kind of remove yourself from the pedestal that you've built, is kind of, it actually does you more disservice than, you know,
Does you more harm than good.
yeah, it does you more harm than good. Like, yes, she's asking for you to be honest. Yes, she's asking for you to be able to bring your walls down. But no woman wants to be with a weakling. A lot of times we men, we associate ourselves with animals. Some of you like, oh, my animal is like, I'm a bear, I'm a lion. Go watch some Nat Geo Wild or some YouTube. And,
You're not that.
and watch how those male animals behave. You know, actually go and watch how the animals behave and watch the natural way the lions treat the lionesses, the silverback gorilla treats it. Watch what happens when a silverback gorilla loses a fight in front of his wife. He loses his wife and kids. You know, for the lions, like, if the lady lions, they don't come to call the big dog when they're hunting like little stuff. But when they have like something big to take down, that's when the guy comes into power and handles the business. So be that frame that she knows, no matter how he feels, if I come to him and we need to get this sorted out, we're gonna get it sorted out. Don't be that frame where it's like, dang, I have to check if he's in a good mood right now before we handle business. Or I have to check if he's, you know, if he's very happy or if he's crying. Like,
Right.
what are we doing here?
Right.
I would add to that, though, to be honest, because in my reaction in hearing that comment is I totally agree. I totally agree with her statement. And that's only because, like, okay, what you just said was that a man shouldn't show weakness, right, to his woman. But I think what women really want is that rawness. I don't disagree with the transparency part. We definitely want transparency. And I think there's a level of weakness that can happen when you're maybe a crybaby or you cry at every turn. But we deem weakness as a man that cannot actually hold a conversation about what he's going through and struggling with. That's what we deem as weakness as women. It's like you mean to tell me you don't have the strength to be able to open up and speak to me about reality? You don't think that you can tell me these things? That to me would garner weakness. A woman wants a man to show strength through his vulnerability, through his emotional maturity, through his communication of those things, through communication of situations that he's handling on his shoulders. Because we know the more that man has to carry, the heavier the burden it is on his soul, on his spirit, on who he is and how he can be to me in this relationship. So I'm here to pick up what you're carrying. Help me help you.
What if he doesn't believe that you have the capacity to pick up what he's carrying?
Then he doesn't know who he's dating.
To relate to what you said, I think as men, we just don't want you to baby us whenever we're going through certain stuff. We don't want
Okay,
to
I
make
like
it
that.
feel like, oh, I have to baby him whenever he's going through something hard, or like whenever we're going through hardships. We just don't want to be babied, and then it makes us look weak. And then, you know, you lose trust in us, and then you have to feel like you got to put the big boy pants on in a relationship, and then you got to take over when things are hard, or, you know what I'm saying? You got to take control.
I love that perspective. I really do. But without going off topic, because I think it's a patriarchy issue, to be honest. With that point, I don't disagree. Like, I get what you're saying, that you're saying, okay, we don't want you to look at us as weak men. But imagine if you aren't actually expressing your real feelings to your woman, we do see you as weak already. Right? We're already seeing you as weak because guess what? What you're not sharing with us, we got to carry it anyway. We now got to figure out how to do it on our own. We got to figure out how to do it without you. And now you're weak to us because you didn't come to me and express yourself. You didn't come to me and let me know how you feel. So now I got to walk around what you didn't say and figure these things out on my own.
Right.
That's weakness to me. Right? Over you just coming directly and saying, look, babe, I went through these things. I'm not feeling it right now. My emotions are everywhere. I feel sad today. But if that man could come to me and tell me I'm going through this right now, and then tomorrow he get back up and go take care of business, that's strength. That is strength to me. It's not about you being down. It's about you staying down. A lot of women can run into a man who he feel weak in a moment, but that moment turns into days, and those days turn into weeks, and then now he's just sitting in it, right? But weakness to me also is an inability to communicate how you feel emotionally. That's weak because now you're hanging on. The emotions aren't evaporating. They're going somewhere.
Yeah.
And if it's not going back into our marriage, if it's not going back into our relationship, you're causing harm to us. Now you're creating a division in our own relationship because you are too weak to come to me as the woman that you deem lesser than you and tell me how you really feel. Tell me what you're really going through. So in my perspective, it's all about how you look at things, right? If you look at this person as your partner, you genuinely should feel like you can go to them with anything because partnership is just what it is. It's two people tackling one issue.
Right.
It's two people working together to get to a common goal. But if you think being a partner is, I got to handle all this by myself, I don't think she can handle these things. Babe, that's weakness because you ain't even figuring out valuing your woman. You ain't even figuring out how much can she handle.
Right.
Let me figure it out. Let me put it on her shoulders anyway and see if she can carry it. And then if you see she can't carry it, you can make an analysis and say, you know what, that was too far. Next time I might not do that. But if you lead with that, you're ultimately leading your relationship to failure because now you are underestimating your partner. And why would you be with someone you don't have that type of confidence in?
That's true. I can see that. I understand.
Yeah. Well, that was my reaction. That's, as a woman, I really resonated with that. But thank you so much for being here with us today. We truly appreciate your time. Yes, let's have it up for him.
Thank y'all for having me.
Yes, we like to take this time to highlight Black businesses or any business venture that you're involved in. If you want to explain to us what you do, anything that you want people to participate in or support.
Okay. So I'm building something fully AI incorporated.
Oh.
It's called Embed Fleet, and it's spelled AMBED. Then fleet, as in a fleet of cars, FLEET. So embedfleet.com. So what we do is we create an environment where people that don't have cars can still make some money. We live in Dallas, and you know how it can be around here. If you don't have a car,
Yeah, you ain't gonna make it.
You're not
You ain't
making
making
no
it.
money.
Yeah,
Dallas.
especially in a big city.
Yeah, right. So it's like not just giving. So primarily we focus on gig workers, people that want to do Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, Instacart, you know, things like that. We offer them cars for about $50 a day, you know, and we take care of the insurance, the maintenance, and that's just those are the minimal things. Those are the minimal features. What we really do that's revolutionary is like we teach these people how to earn more. We show them like, hey, with this car, here are other things that you can actually do so that the payment of this car does not become a burden for you, right? So, for example, today I had a customer. He's like, man, I've been trying to pay for 3 days consecutively. So he's trying to stack up money and pay for 3 days at once. So my reaction is, bro, you just started. Pay 1 day at a time. So you have one extra cash. You're still figuring out your routes. You're still figuring out, okay, these are the places that gives me, high bookings.
money.
Yeah, these are the places that gives me less money. Why pressure yourself into making those commitments when you can just take this thing day by day? So it's not just giving somebody a vehicle to ride around. It's giving them a new approach on life and a new approach on freedom. Because realistically, whether you know it or not, there's Uber drivers making 6 figures a year.
Oh, I believe it.
I never seen that before. I would like to see it.
I believe it. That's how they do. 24/7, they driving.
They treat it like a 9 to 5. And some game for Uber drivers out there, do your airport runs. There's people always traveling. Typically, what most of my drivers do, they'll go to the airport because Dallas has 2 main airports. They always sleep on the Love Field airport. We do have an airport in Love Field that there's literally sections delegated to Lyft and Uber drivers. You can drive there, pick up your customer for like $30-$40. Uber takes their cut. You go back home. You drop the driver at home. But now, instead of, taking rides from anywhere around that area, now Uber is sending you further and further and further. You give it a little pause, go back to the airport, get another airport trip, and now you're stacking money like 30,
right.
60.
Be mindful
90.
of where you're getting that money from.
Yeah.
Like,
you
just
know
where it
your
is.
target area. So like that's something we also provide, that knowledge as to like this is how you can make the best use of your resources that day. So it's also an educational platform. And you can also find my personal Instagram at the Ikenna. And it's very simple. Just TheIkenna. You find me on Instagram and TikTok.
Perfect. Do you have a page for your business yet, or is that coming?
Embedfleet.com. We're launching the website at the end of the month, and it's going to be amazing. We're going to be taking new drivers, and for our money makers, people that have those type of cars that we actually give to drivers, they actually have the opportunity to make $400 a week.
Ooh. Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here. We truly appreciate your time today and your insights.
We appreciate it.
Thank you guys for joining us. This has been Real Not Rehearsed. Until next time.
Yes, sir.
Until next time.
Real Not Rehearsed.